Hello, good morning everyone. So let's start today's session. Today we are going to cover two important concepts in SQL, views and derived relations. And if time permits, then we may go for the with clause. That is meant for writing the complex queries. So let's begin with views. So what are views? In fact, we have seen this concept earlier. So whenever we do not want to show all the data from our relation to the specific kind of user, then we need to hide some data from the users. And for that reason, it is possible for us to write different views as per the requirement. So no doubt the relations in our relational schema are there underlying the views. So views are written based on the original relations that we have in our database schema, right? So views are actually providing us a mechanism to hide certain data from certain users. So we are restricting the users to see some part of the data from the tables, right? So if we want to do this, we are having a specific SQL statement. So to create a view, we are making use of this statement create view. V is name of the view as, and then we are writing the query expression. So this query expression is nothing but SQL statement, right? So we are creating a view, we are giving some name for that view, and we are creating this view with the help of some SQL statement, right? So please note few important points related to views. View is not pre-computed and stored. What we mean by that? See, whenever we are creating a view, a new view is being created with this name V. It is similar to that of the relation. It is similar to the relation in a database. But please note that the view is not pre-computed and the data that we are computing in a view is not stored in the database system. Then what happens actually is the database system stores only the definition of the view. The database system stores the query expression associated with the view, right? So only the definition for this particular view V is being stored in the database system, but the actual data after executing that expression is not being stored. But whenever the view relation is accessed by the user, then its tuples are being created by computing the query result. So whenever we create a view, we are storing a definition of the view in our database system. Please note that the data as the output of this query is not being stored. So whenever required, on demand, whenever the view is being accessed, the database system generates the tuples based on the query expression in the definition of the view, right? But while writing the queries in SQL, the views are treated as good as these are the relations. So let's see the example. Suppose the clerk in our university schema needs to access all data in the instructor relation except salary, and the clerk should not be authorized to access the instructor relation. What does this mean? In our original university schema, the relation instructor with 4 attributes. What are those 4 attributes? We are having ID of the instructor, name of the instructor, salary of the instructor, and department name of the instructor. Right? Now, in our university, we are having few people designated as clerks. Right? So, these clerks are not authorized. They are not having right to directly access this particular instructor relation. So they are not able to access directly this instructor table. But still, for their job, for their work, they need some information about the instructors. So what information they require? They require ID of the instructor, name of the instructor. So they do not want to access, or the university authorities do not want to show the salary attribute to these clerks. Right? I'll repeat. Clerks are not having access to instructor table. They are not authorized to provide the queries to the instructors. So, as they are not eligible to access this instructor table, they need some information to be accessed from this table. So, without accessing directly the instructor table, what we can do is, whatever is the information from instructor table that is required by those clerks, we are going to create a view, right, showing the information that is required. So clerks will be able to access that view, but not the original table. And in that view also, they will be having access to only few attributes. Those are required. So attributes we are going to hide. Few of the attributes we are going to hide from the designated user. So let us see how to write the SQL statement for this. So we are writing the statement like create view. This is name of the view, faculty, as, and this is our SQL statement to create this particular view, faculty. So create view faculty as select ID, name, department name from instructor. So we are not listing out salary here because we do not want to show salary to the clerk, and this view can be accessible to the clerk. So whenever the clerk will access this particular view faculty, they will be able to see only these 3 attributes related to instructor. Let us go for demonstration. So let's try to write this view in SQL. So as I stated, we are having this statement create view we want to provide some name for the view. So we are providing faculty as the name for the view. So create view faculty as, and then the SQL statement, valid legal SQL statement. So select ID, name, department name from instructor. Right? So we are creating now a view and we are providing faculty as the name for the view. Right? So this SQL statement actually defines this particular view. Right? As I stated, the definition of the view is being stored in the database system, but not the data. That is the output of this view. But whenever we access that view, then the data or the tuples in that view gets generated. Right? So let us try to first create this view now. So whenever I execute this statement, see here, I am seeing the statement like view created. So we have created now this view faculty. Now, as I stated, view can be treated as good as a relation. Right? View can be treated as good as a relation. So, if now I want to access that view, what I'm going to do? Simply, I'll be making use of the select statement to see the result data from the view. So select star from faculty. Please note here, this faculty is not a relation, but it is a view that is being created based on some relations in our database. Right? So this select statement can be applied to the views also. So see here, we are now extracting the data. So select star from faculty. So see here what we are getting. We are getting the 3 columns, right, from the instructor table. Okay, and these 3 columns are used to write our view, to write the definition of our view. Got it? Any doubts so far?
No, ma'am.
Fine. Now, please note that if I'm having this view, right, and if I want to extract now, if I want to provide some predicate. Suppose the clerk now wants to get the data of the faculty only from computer science department. Right? The clerk is having access to this view faculty and not the instructor table. Right? But if the clerk wants to extract the data from computer science department only, then it is possible to provide here the where clause as well with the view. Right? So select star from faculty where name equal to science. So if I provide this statement and if I execute it, what I'll be getting is I'll be getting only the data, only the faculty from computer science department. Got it? Now, if I have created the view, right, and if suppose I want to modify the definition of this view, right? Suppose I have created earlier this view faculty with 3 attributes, right? But now I would like to change this definition. Now, if I want to have only ID and name of the faculty member in my view. And if I try to write the view, create view faculty as select ID, comma name from instructor, right? See here what I'm trying to do. Only two attributes I would like to have in my view, right? Earlier, the view with this name faculty is been created. And once again, if I try to create a view with the same name, then it is not allowed. So if I run this statement, see here what error message I am getting. Name is already used by an existing object. So faculty view is already been created. So it is not possible to once again use create view statement with the same view name. So instead, what I can do is, if I want to replace the same view with another definition, then simply I can make use of the statement like create or replace view faculty as and the name of the definition of the view. So if I try to execute this, now it should work because I have written the statement create or replace view, right? So I'm getting here the message view created. Now if once again, if I try to visualize the data from this view, then I should see only two columns because I have changed the definition of my, right? Are you getting me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Fine.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Now, suppose if I want to delete this view, I want to remove this view from my system. Then what I can do is, I can use a statement drop. So drop view and name of the view. This statement will allow me to remove this view from our database system. So if I have dropped this faculty view, then it will not be possible for me to get the data now from this faculty because faculty view is not present in our database. See here, table or view does not exist. The error message. Okay, got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. Now, one more important point. Please note, if I am creating a view based on some relation in my database, if I am creating a view based on some relation in my database, and later on, if I drop that relation from my database, then what will happen to the view that was built on that particular relation? Any guesses? I have created a view based on some relation in my database, and later on I have dropped that relation from my database. Still, I am having that view definition in my database based on that particular relation. So what will happen to the view? Whether it will work or whether it will not work. Once again, repeating. Suppose here we are creating a view faculty, right? And this faculty view is built upon this instructor table in our database. And let us assume that I have removed this instructor table after creating the view. Then what will happen? whether that view gets accessed, whether I can able to visualize the data in the view or not.
No.
Yes?
No. No data will not
No,
exist.
yes, no, because this view will be invalid. Why? Because the view was written based on the instructor table, right? And as I stated, the data of the view is not being stored in the database. So whenever view is accessed, that data gets populated in the view from the underlying table. And if there is no underlying table available, then obviously my view will become invalid. Right? So it may not be possible for me to get whatever data that I want. Right? I hope you must have understood this concept. Okay? So now let's proceed with the next concept, or rather the next example under views. So let's try to write or create a view for the given details. So we want to create a view that lists all course sections offered by the Computer Science Department in the fall 2009 semester with the building and room number of each section. Please refer to your university schema. What we want is we create a view that lists all course sections offered by the Computer Science Department in the fall 2009 semester. Right? Along with that, we want to show the building and room number of each section. So if you refer to your university schema, you can understand which tables we need to make use of. Yes, which tables we should use. We are having section table, right, wherein we are having the building and room number details along with the course ID and section ID. So in section table, we are storing the details like which course, which section of the course is associated with which building and which room number, right? And in course relation, we are having the details of course ID, course name, right? And the department who is offering that course. So department is not available in section table, but it is available in our course table. So we need to make use of two relations, and those are course and section. Right? So how we are going to write this statement? How we are going to create this view? Please look at this. We are creating a view. Name of the view is com_fall_2009. So we want to create a view which lists all the course sections offered by Computer Science Department in this specific semester, fall 2009. So accordingly, the relevant name we are providing here for the view. So create view com_fall 2009 as. This is the definition for the view. So what we want to extract? We want to extract course ID, section ID, building and room number. right? Course ID, section ID, building and room number. Okay. So building, room number, section ID are available in section table, right? Whereas course ID, course name, department name are available in course table. So we need to make use of these two tables. So select these attributes from course comma section. As we are making use of two tables, we should have here first the matching condition. So which is the common attribute in these two relations? Course ID. So in where clause we are writing the first condition that course.course ID is equal to section.course ID, and we want to extract only the data for computer science department. So here and course.department name equal to computer science and section.semester equal to fall and section.year equal to 2009. Right? Are you getting me? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. Now, let us say that we have created this view with this definition. Now, what we want is, we want to find out all computer all 2009 semester in the Taylor building. So we are specifying here name of the building now. So whichever are computer science courses, those are offered in fall 2009 semester in Taylor building, only those we would like to extract. So obviously what we can do is, we are not going to write this entire query once again, right? We are having now a view, and this view is giving us all the course details including building and room number. Those were offered by computer science department in fall 2009. So we have partially done whenever we are writing this view. So by making use of this view, we are now going to provide a predicate to extract all computer science courses offered in fall 2009 in Taylor building. So obviously we are going to write a statement now, select course ID from. Now this is a view that we have created earlier, right? So select course ID from this view where building equal to Taylor. Fine. So execute this. So let's try to write this statement, create a view. So create view all 2009. Select course dot course ID, section ID, building number from course comma section where common attributes need to be matched. So course dot course ID equal to section dot section ID and course dot department name equal to comp science and section dot semester equal to fall section dot year equal to 2009. Right? So we have written now the definition for the view. So if we execute this statement, what happened? Course dot department name. Course dot. Course dot. Sorry. Section dot course ID. Dot course ID. So we have created a view now, comp fall 2009. So let's see the data that gets populated whenever we access this view. Select star from this view, and if we try to execute this, we are getting these two courses. Those were taught in fall 2009 and offered by Computer Science Department. Now, what next we want to do? We want to find out only those course IDs which were taught in building Taylor. So, we are going to write a statement like select course ID from name of the view where building equal to Taylor. Right? And if I execute this, I should get only this course ID 347. Right? And we are having that course ID in the result of this SQL statement. Right? So I hope you must have understood how we are making use of views, how we are creating the views, and how we are accessing the views. And also I have demonstrated you how to replace the view and how to drop the view. Right? So I hope you must have understood the concept of views. So let's proceed now with the derived relations. This is one of my favorite SQL construct. In derived relations, it is possible for us to write the complex queries. Right? So we can mold this construct how whatever we want to extract, we can write the select statement by making use of this construct derived relations. So far, we have seen how the SQL statements or the select statements are nested in the form of subqueries. So, whatever subquery expressions or whichever subquery constructs, those we have seen so far, those subqueries were written in where clause, if you remember. Right? So, in subqueries, we made use of, say for example, set membership clause. So, in set membership, we were using in or not in. Right? So, here we were making use of the subqueries. But the subqueries were used in where clause, if you remember. Right? But now, instead of using the subquery expression in where clause, relations, we are making use of SQL subquery expression in from clause. So in from clause, we are going to derive a new relation which is temporary, new temporary relation. Right? So in from clause, I'll be making use of the select statement. And this select statement will help me to derive a new temporary relation that can be used to write a query. So let's see one example so that the idea gets clear. Now we have seen this query earlier, and this was the solution that we have written earlier for this query. So what we are doing here is find the average instructor salaries of those departments where the average salary is greater than 42,000. So this is actually a good way to write the query. So what we did, we have found out the average salaries for each department. So we made use of group by clause. So this group by statement will the output like department name and average salary. So I'll be having each department listed and the average salary of that department. Now, what I want only those departments such that the average salary of the department is greater than 42,000. So we need to provide a predicate or condition on this average salary. We are grouping the data, and that is why whatever we are getting after group by, if we want to provide a condition on group data, then we should make use of this having clause, and we are providing here the condition having average salary greater than 42,000. So out of all those departments, what I'll be getting is, I'll be getting only those departments for which the average salary is greater than 42,000. Right? So this is one way of writing the query. So we are making use of group by and having clauses. Now, the same query can be written in some other way. Now, to demonstrate you how we can write this query in some other way without using this having clause. Okay, so as I stated, it is possible for us to write a subquery expression in from clause, right? So what we are going to do here is, see here, select department name, average salary from. See here, in from clause, we are deriving this relation, temporary relation. So if we are writing a subquery in from clause, then we say that it is a derived relation. Okay, so we are deriving this relation based on some relations in our schema, and we are making use of this temporary relation in this outer query. So see here, what we are trying to do is select department name comma average salary. Now this average salary attribute is from this derived relation. So in this derived relation, what we are trying to do? We are trying to get the data as per each department. So no doubt we are grouping the data, right? So we are writing here select department name average salary as average salary from instructor group by department name. So in this derived relation, we will be having two columns, department name and this is name of the column, average salary. Right? So this derived relation will be having these two columns. Now, what I'm trying to do is, I'm trying to make use of this average salary column of derived relation directly. So here in the outer query, I'm writing select department name, comma, average salary from, this is the relation from which I'm extracting this data, where. Now, this average salary column is actually storing the average salaries of each department. So, average salary column is already having the computed average salary. So, simply we are writing here in where clause, this average salary is greater than 42,000 and we will be getting the same result. So, this derived relation that we are writing in the from clause, this derived relation generates a relation consisting of the names of the departments and their corresponding average salaries of the instructor. Right? And this temporary or derived relation is being used in outer query. So in Oracle, we are going to write this query like this. Select department name, average salary from. Select department name, average salary. This is the name of the attribute, right, that we should have in our derived relation from instructor, group by department name, and even for this derived relation, we may provide some name, say result. So whatever derived relation we have created, this temporary relation, we are providing some name to that relation. Okay, where average salary is greater than 42,000. So if we write such a statement using derived relation, then there is no need to make use of this having clause. So we are not using having, but instead we are using the where clause here, because the group by data or the result of group by data is available in the form of a relation and directly we are making use of that data. So no need to use having clause, but here in this outer query we are making use of this where clause. Right? I hope you must have understood or use of this derived relation. So let me demonstrate now practically. So select. I'm going to show you the outputs of both the statements with having clause and without having clause using derived relation. So earlier we have written this statement like select department name, comma, average salary. Name of this column we are going to rename salary from instructor, group by department name. So let us try to execute this partially first. So the group by statement is going to provide us such kind of a data, department name and average salary. Further, we are having here this condition using having clause, having average salary greater than 42,000. Okay, So if we execute this, whichever are the departments, those are satisfying this condition, those will be present in our output. Right? So we are having 6 departments now. Those are satisfying this condition for average salary. Now, the same statement we are going to write by making use of derived relation. So what I'm going to do is, first I want to group the data, no doubt, right? So what I'll do is, I'll use this statement as it is. Okay, so this statement will provide me the data for each department average salary. That is what I'm getting. Now, what I want to provide a condition now on this average salary. So in outer select statement, what I'll write is select department name, comma, average salary is the attribute from derived relation from. So from which relation I want to extract the data now? I want to extract the data from this particular. Okay. Now let us try to list out only this. So once again we'll be getting 7 rows, each department along with average salary. We do not want all those departments, but we want only the departments who are satisfying the condition. So here we are making use of where clause. So where this average salary that we have already computed in our derived relation, average salary is greater than 42,000. So we are not making use of here having clause. Instead, we have made use of a derived relation, right? And then we are using a simple where clause to put the predicate. So the same result we are getting. Is there any doubt?
No, ma'am.
So I hope you must have understood this derived relation, and derived relation, believe me, this is really very helpful, right? While writing very complicated queries. We may write anything, whatever data we want to extract from whichever are the relations, irrespective of number of relations. It would be possible for us to properly make use of these derived relations to create the temporary relations and extract the data as per requirement from those temporary relations, right? So we are going to see few more examples actually for this derived relations. So in the next session, we are going to look at few more examples under derived relations, and then we'll proceed with one more interesting clause in SQL that will allow us to write the complex queries, and that clause. So in the next session, we'll be focusing upon few examples under derived relations, and also we'll focus upon with clause, which also helps us to write the complex queries. So let's stop today. Thank you.